What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Black Mental Health Podcast. I'm your host, Reg. Joined today with me is a very, very special guest. I think it was a good time to have him on, especially I never did this angle from the Black Mental Health Podcast perspective, so your value is very much appreciated. I don't like to butcher people's intro, so I'll let you take it away and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Master Sergeant Christian Price. I'm currently in the United States Army. I am a United States Master Sergeant, been in the military a little over 17 years, and I just look forward to being of a value and being of a service, but more importantly, touching on some things and having a great dialogue and sharing a great conversation with this gentleman right here.
I thank you, man. Again, I thank you. First, I thank you for your service. Let me start there.
Salute.
I thank you for your service, and just thank you for being on the part of this podcast. It's very appreciative, and I know you ain't got too much time, so I'm gonna get right into it.
Let's go.
So first, I really do want to ask you, because I haven't even thought about the climate that we in, but I know maybe about a month ago there was some things going on with social media about the war and people getting deployed and people making fun of it. Talk about your experience in it from being in it, instead of like, I'm an outsider bystander looking in. But people were joking, making jokes like, "Oh, Donald Trump's about to make us go to war." So you can talk about it on all aspects of being deployed by him and his what he's going on, respecting him in his presidency, and just how it affected you guys on that end.
Well, first things first, I respect all my commanders and chiefs. So not to incriminate myself, why I respect the commanders and chiefs' decision, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm here to fully support him or her. Now, when it comes to when I recognized and I saw the social media and the memes, for a brief second, as far as the humor, I'm just naturally like, I like to laugh. It hit, I was like very, very enthusiastic. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great joke. And then I think when it sunk in, when I started seeing the memes go to a place where I'm like, that's
Going too far.
Yeah, we going too far. We in that gray area. When we're using a race, somebody speaking a different language, and you start treading water about, why the language that they speak. And I got it, intent versus the impact. But I was very, very sentimental, and I got a little upset. And I appreciate there was a young gentleman that I saw, a younger soldier, and he really, he signed, he pretty much gave everybody the exclamation point. Like, I got it. I appreciate everybody's, humor, but at the same time, some of us ain't coming back home. I just got to paint that picture for you, not to say that, our lives are valued more than our civilians, but we know what we did when we raised our hand. But at the end of the day, I think that, there should be some type of level of empathy to say, okay, all right, now we can stop joking. Let's get serious about this, and support our brothers and sisters at arms who are getting ready to go, risk it all, man. Sacrifice their life, for this country. Yeah.
Nah, and I definitely understand that, and that's why I had to ask. It just hit me as soon as I seen you in the uniform and everything. I'm like, man, perfect person to ask about it. Because I always, even though this is the mental health podcast, I try to get all aspects of everything. So I would never be able to talk about being in the military because I never had to do that. So you're the perfect person to, like, explain that mindset coming into it. One of the things that also is pressing on me, and I got questions, but now they coming into.
Let them go. Let them go,
bro. The lack of or resources or support where you see like a homeless vet on the street, and you're like, man, they served this country, they put their time in, their energy, they lost limbs. Like, why are they not being supported the way they need it? Like, and I feel like the government, we should see some type of support for them giving their time and energy. What's your outlook? What's your perspective on that?
Man, I mean, it could definitely, attribute to a number of things. Could be a lack of resources. It could be place the ownership on the person. It could be drugs. It could be that environment. It could be a number of things. I think that it being acknowledged is one. That's I love to see that, because there were years where it was never addressed, and in some of your largest cities, the homeless population is more than some of your communities in some of these regular normal cities. So yeah, it's a near and dear, deep topic for me, because the number of veterans or number of homeless vets, it's sad, bro. It's really sad. And I think nobody should be living homeless. I don't agree with that. So that's a near and dear, that's a sensitive topic for me, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you, brother. That hurts near and dear to my heart, to see people in those types of situations. Yeah.
No, I understand completely, and that's why I had to ask, because I'm like, well, I wonder if the military know. Like, of course, people know, but like,
Oh, yeah.
is there any solutions or anything in place? Like you said, you just gave a bevy of thing. It could be a bunch of different options. I'm in Philadelphia right now. There's a VA hospital where they give, like, so it's always resources. It's just never connect. I just know when they went out there and they risked their lives, I'm like, it should be automatic. Like, as soon as you see a vet, like, hey, let's grab him, pull him up.
Right. So I'll say this. I know that organizations have definitely been a lot more accountable with themselves to say, hey, we're going to do a better job at supporting our veterans, especially our homeless veterans as well. And there are organizations out there that are doing phenomenal in supporting the homeless veterans. But yeah, that you hit the nail on the coffin with that one, man. Definitely.
One of the things that, again, I don't want you to say anything out of line, so you can
Oh,
say
yeah.
answer whatever you
Yeah.
way you can answer.
Yeah.
But I know, as a black man, one of the things within the black community, they always say, why would I fight for a country that never fought for me? And I know in the bigger scheme of things, people don't know, like, they are fighting for you when you protecting your country, but I mean, within the communities, they feel like, like it's never support for us. So just talk about your experience and your viewpoint of that.
I'll tread lightly, but I will say this. I will say that we should not allow our emotions to overwhelm our intelligence.
All right. My next question would be to that in transition. I got to do some. I read a couple of your articles that they put out, or that you put out, getting an interview. Being a military brat and then having your son. So it's a twofold question. You said you liked the experience of being a military brat. You got to meet new people in different generations,
Yes.
stuff like that, different cultures. But
Right.
I also know people are mentally affected by not having that presence of the parent that's in the military, because they're not always there. Just talk about your experience with that.
Man, bro, that is a great question. Okay, so childhood for me was easy when it came to diversity. I was born in Philadelphia, North Philly,
I'm
Germantown
here.
Ave.
That's where I'm here.
And when my mom transitioned us from there, joined the military, and we went to Georgia, I mean, it opened, opened my eyes to a life of, a blessing. It was definitely a blessing in disguise. Like, I mean, to happen to know where, I could interact and meet anybody, different type of race, nationality. I mean, I'm thankful, you know what I mean? Completely thankful because, there's some people where you and I are from, that's all they know is that block, you know what I mean? That 1 mile radius or out or just Philadelphia, and I never wanted to grow up like that, and I'm thankful that today, as of today, like I'm glad that, I was able to have the opportunity of diversity. Now, there is a gift and a curse, that's the rubber meets the road sometimes in regards to the relationship part is that when joining the military, you have to know what you're signing up for. And I think a lot of times, a lot of individuals do not know what they're signing up for, and we assume until, until the time comes or the time happens, it's like, wow, I've really been away from my family. Or your kids grow up where versus a regular child who lives in a city and has probably moved once or twice in their life versus the military child who's moved 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times within an 18-year span. There's pros and cons on this, but for me in my childhood, I no longer wanted to grow up with that in my life, to not be there for my son, because there are certain things in a boy's life that are very, very instrumental, and not to say that mom can't do it, but it's just imperative to have a father figure in the home. And it could be any big bro, uncle, granddad, grandparent, mentor, life coach, anything like that. But I did not that's the only part of the lifestyle I don't like. Being away from my child, or as much as I have been.
Have you talked to him about that? Like, how's it impacting him, or have you noticed it impacting him? Like, I always wondered the long-term impacts, because you felt it, so you understand the feeling. But
yeah,
like, in this position now, like, how does it make you feel?
I mean, I think I really think he knew at the age of probably 8 or 9, because he's 12 now, about to turn 13 in March. So, because it hit me in life when I was about 15, 16, where I saw the kids who weren't in the military, their parents were always at the games. They were all, the parents was either always there, always at the games. It was just always active, consistency. Versus for me, I had to get picked up, by my friend's mom, or, somebody on my team driving me home. And I remember, I grew up in the mind state, where, you hold your feelings in. And I would control this anger. You get what I'm saying? And I channeled it, but I would channel it into sports. And then where I see this with my son was that, I recently had I had a ceremony, and he had never cried when I left until that particular time. And he was just like, Dad, like, he's like, I'm tired of you always leaving. And that hit me, you know what I mean? To have your son, like, he's 12 years old and he's that aware to be like, Dad, like, I'm tired of you leaving, At 8, I knew it was like, because he would watch me and be like, oh, okay, he
Mm,
doing his thing. But now he's to the age, where he cried. And, the old me would have said, don't cry.
mm.
It's gonna be all right. But now the much maturer me, more emotionally intelligent, is like, nah, man, it's okay to cry. You know what I mean? You're expressing how you feel right now, you know? And, you know, so I mean, wow, man, that's a great, man. That just really took me back. But yeah, that's
Now I
where I'm.
understand. I understand. Well, I don't understand the sentiment, but I understand the perspective of it. Like even just being an abandoned child where my dad wasn't there, and then you growing up, and it's always around that puberty stage where it's
Right,
like you start to notice, like, oh man, it's some man things, like even to changing a tire or something, like just
right,
like making a tire. Like it's certain
right,
things that your mom can teach you, but she don't necessarily really care too much about.
right. Correct, correct,
So
correct.
just I understand that impact, but I was reading one of the stories or the articles, and it said how you was in a position where it was like either military or jail, and we never talk about that option when they say like you either dead going to jail. We never say the military option, or it seemed like it got lost because I kind of remember it in like Good Times, like the older shows, but I don't hear that version of it so much. So talk more about that feeling or that like decision making that you had to
Oh,
pick between the
man,
two.
man, bro. I'm not too. I'll just say this, man. Humble beginnings, man.
Mm,
I mean, in life, man, we all make mistakes.
mm,
You know, unfortunately, that particular mistake. Whew, man. I mean, it made me better, like
mm,
in life, from a lot of perspective. Uh, so it was literally the. I'll never forget this. You know, statute of limitations is up. You know what I mean? I'm 35 now, but I was 17 years old, coming home from track practice, and a couple of my good friends and myself, we did our thing on the track field. We about to get ready to go to state, and we getting high. We high. I mean, I'm higher than the kite, and we got to go home. I was like, all right, I got to go home, y'all. So I live on post at the time, and yeah, we had some stuff, whatever. And then situation happened. They pulled us over, whatever. And then, long story short, none of us told. You know, I mean, you know what you signed up for. So,
right.
so they put it on the driver, and I was in a period, in that period before they put it on, the driver. Um, One of my very, very good friends, to this day. Um, you're in that life, you're in that mindset, like, damn, like I'm about to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I still got to go to school,
Mm,
because even though I'm grounded, got everything taken away from me, like, I'm doing push-ups in the room. I'm getting my mind ready. You know
right,
what I mean?
right,
I'm like, I'm getting my mind ready. And, luckily I had JROTC. I was taking JROTC. And, you know, the provost marshal and the judge, they said, hey, I'm already preparing I'm thinking somebody told. And it was like, nah, everybody, nobody. I mean, I guess y'all just mysteriously had this stuff. Oh, I like, yeah. And then, my mom called me down, And she said, you want the good news or the bad news? I was like, I want the bad news. And then she was like, the bad news is that you got to get up out this house.
Mm.
And then the good news is that, you beat the charge. But,
Wow.
you 17, so, you just got to sign these waivers, when you join the military. So when I joined the military, first, this is the honest God truth, man. First, the first two, I think it was the first 48, no, first 2 years, I could not get in no trouble. First 24 months, I could not get in. I could not receive no UCMJ action or anything like that, because that would have triggered whatever, and then, they would have put me out of the Army for, dishonorable discharge. And so, yeah, that was real, man. And, I always tell kids today, man, when I give them somewhat of the story, because I don't like to go too deep into it, man, because, it's not to say that I'm ashamed or whatever the case may be, but it really just puts me in a place of like, damn, like I let myself down,
Mm-hmm.
or I let my family down, but more importantly, I let my name down. And I'll say this, man, like I tell kids all the time, man, you're gonna make the wrong choice. It's just gonna happen, but it's all about what you do after that mistake that defines you. It's just character and impurities. It's gonna happen, but yeah, man, that I did not expect you to ask that question, man.
Hey,
Wow.
I've been doing this for a while. Okay?
Yeah, man, that's deep. You humbled me, man. Humbled me. Deep.
But to transition, it's a perfect transition because I know you do real estate, and
Mm-hmm.
we was talking. I was looking on that, and I was watching an interview the other day, and they were talking about, and I didn't even realize that because I don't have that in any of, like I don't have a criminal record. I did petty stuff college
Mm-hmm.
days, but nothing
Yeah.
real crazy. And
Yeah.
so, you being in real estate and talking about the jail situation, talk about the fact that how people almost repeat offend because they won't rent to military, not military, people, ex-offenders. Like you won't get a job because you got something on your record. You can't get a house because you got something on your record. Like, what are you supposed to do when you have something on your record and you're trying to be reformed? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to understand that process on a real estate side anyway.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not agree with some of those rules about, I'm not, I'll say this, I'm not gonna go too far in it because I'm in uniform.
Right.
But I have a great deal of respect of some of the laws.
Right.
However, there are some things in regards to what you definitely just stated, man. We definitely
Got some work to
deserve
do.
a better observance, a better look, a second and third look. Somebody needs to, somebody should just view some of these laws and policies in place, and just, we just got to do a better job at that. That's all I'm gonna say about that, man.
Nah, that's true, and
Yeah.
I'll take the burden back of, like, I think when you write with your even, and I'm guilty of it. You just
Right.
writing because of like when you make a law or you make a judgment or you make something, you're
Yeah.
not going off a feeling that you experience. You're going off of what you think. Whereas
Mm.
being in that position now, like understanding that mindset, now I'm like, oh wow, that you
Yeah.
create an environment for them to find
Mm-hmm.
some way to eat. People got to live. So I'll transition
Mm-hmm.
from that and say, and I ask everybody because it's the mental health podcast. How do you feel like the military plays a part into mental health?
Whew. Wow. I'm not gonna lie to you. They do a phenomenal job. I'm not. I give them that. We have a phenomenal. We have a phenomenal system in place of ensuring that we identify. That's the first thing, like the triggers. Like anything, if someone mentions it, discusses it, I'm talking about with families, the spouses, the kids, anybody. We definitely have the systems and processes in place to ensure that somebody's gonna get the help that they deserve immediately. So that's something we do not. I don't play around with at all. I don't. I definitely don't. I mean, I just know. I know that we are fully invested into the mental health program.
I can't let you go because it just reminded me without asking about PTSD and that in mental health. What's your perspective on PTSD and everything like that?
Oh man, it's it's real, man. It is real. I think, because I have it, but I don't talk about it as much as I should, because I'm still sometimes, and I put this mask on. I'm sorry, man. I put this mask on, and I think that I think a lot of times as leaders, or most people in the military, we don't want to tell people sometimes what we're going through or how the experience. That's what it used to be like. You don't want nobody to think that you're soft or you're vulnerable or anything like that. So that was the perception. And I still do that from time to time. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. Some mornings it's a struggle, man. Cause you replay or you see or what you were exposed to. And I don't wish that on nobody, man. What some of us have experienced, man. And you gotta visually like replay this stuff in your mind over and over and over and over again. And it happens in different chapters. But I've done a better job now of channeling it, by talking to someone, and when I say I wouldn't say talking, but confiding to a therapist and to actually, get the treatment I needed from a different, I mean, it was PTSD, it's real, but it helped me open up in areas and other areas in my life that were also lacking. It was like I just used a workout to paint the picture. It's like I'm strong up top, but my legs are weak.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how it was. It was like I'm strong in these areas, but it's like as soon as the therapist started like peeling the onion back, or I'm sitting in a group session talking to people, and then the triggers, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, it's like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. To go out sometimes, or, I get startled, grabbing the door, driving. If I'm on the passenger side, I'm kind of clutching the door. Or if I'm driving, everybody's always like, you drive so fast. And it's just like the constant, that's all but I'm not gonna lie to you though, as crazy as it sounds, man, that stuff is real.
I don't think it's. I was just in a car
I
accident a
mean,
year ago, and I
you know what I'm
still
saying?
replay it over and over.
Yeah, you know, it's like you have the triggers of the traumatics,
Mm,
and like what you just said, like it's gonna happen in like different forms.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it might not happen when you are driving, but it might happen when somebody else is driving you.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you
you're
like
more
on edge.
yeah, you're more intense, you're more on
Mm-hmm.
edge. You know, you're like, whoa, like what are you doing? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And they're like, I'm driving. You
Right.
don't see that?
Right.
You don't, hey, calm down.
Right.
And you know, and then after you don't even realize, like you know, you just in a different space, man. And I almost flipped out on this Uber driver like that.
They the worst. Those
Yeah,
the ones. Them
yeah.
be the ones.
That's crazy you said that. Nah, shit. Damn. This
Listen.
is a good interview, man. You got some good questions, man. They just know how to tie into each other.
I'll
It's
end
pretty good.
I'll end with and I asked everybody this, and I want to be respectful of your time. You could
Yeah, no, you're good, brother.
1 minute clip. What is your overall viewpoint, perspective, opinion on mental health?
Whew, man, that's a great question. My overall view on it is that it's about time. It's about time. I'm glad that we are in a culture, a space, a time where we care about one's, you know, their mindset more than just their talent and skills, you know, because you can always take away, you can all that has nothing, but you know, somebody's mental health and their mental well-being to me is more important than anything. You know, that's definitely more important than anything. And I'm just glad now we got it right, or we're getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting it right, you know, for everyone. And I'm glad we are now emotionally intelligent enough to start saying, I need help, to receive the help that we need. You know, that to me, it's like, man, you know, it's like, man, I can hug my other brother and say, brother, it's gonna be okay. Instead of me walking around holding this anger of all this built up aggression towards
Mm-hmm.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You get what that has nothing to do with him or her.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But I don't want to get too long with it, man. I'm sorry, man. But yeah,
Nah, it's perfect.
yeah.
A perfect way to tie it up, man. And on that note, follow, subscribe. Thank you for coming on to the podcast. I really
Appreciate this, man.
thank you for trusting me with your story and being
Yeah.
vulnerable and honest. Salute to you and your service, and thank you for everything that you have done. And remember, guys, this platform has never been about a replacement to therapy. It's an alternative place where people share therapeutic stories. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, bro.